Problem number 1 says 331 students went on a field trip. 6 buses were filled and 7 students traveled in cars. How many students were in each bus? Our first step is at the top. We need to identify the variable. To do that, we say let x equal the number of students on each bus. That's what we're trying to find out. How many students were on each bus? We know there were 6 buses, 331 total students, but 7 of those students traveled in cars. So to write our equation, we definitely need to include an x. So we'll start with an x. X is the number of students on each bus, and we know that there were 6 buses. So if we multiply 6 times our unknown number of students on each bus, we need to get the total number of students that were on the bus. But 331 students weren't on the bus. In fact, it was 331 total minus the 7 kids that went in cars. So our equation reads 6x equals 331 minus 7. To solve, we first combine 6x equals, and then we do the subtraction, 331 minus 7, which equals 324. Divide by 6 on both sides, right? We did this. 6 divided by 6 is 1, that cancels. We end up with x equals, and we got to do the division, 324 divided by 6. We do that off to the side. So to do that off to the side, we'll do 324, divide that by 6. 6 goes into 32. How many times? 5 times. That equals 30. 2, bring down the 4. 6 goes into 24. Oh, how many times? 4 times. 4 times 6 equals 24. Good. Now, even number right there. So it ends up being x equals 54. That means that there were 54 students on each bus. So if we look back at what we need to do, first we need to identify the variable. We did that right here. Then we need to write our equation. We did that right here. Then we needed to solve by undoing the operations. We did that right here. And lastly, we needed to write a sentence, and we did that right here. So you can see how all 4 parts of these must be included on each problem. Let's look at number 2 now. It says Aaliyah had $24 to spend on 7 pencils. After buying them, she had $10. How much did each pencil cost? That end question gives us what our variable is going to represent. So we'll start with our let statement. We'll say let x equal the price of all the pencils? No, the price of each pencil. Next step, we need to write our equation. We definitely know we got to have our x in there. There's the price of each pencil. We know how many pencils she bought. She bought 7 of them. If you multiply the price of each pencil by 7, that's how much she spent on all the pencils. We know that she had $24 in the beginning, and then after purchasing the pencils, she had $10 left. So a lot of you have been saying that, yeah, she spent $14 on pencils. But we don't write it like that. We actually write exactly as it's given in the problem. $24 is what she started with. She finished with 10, and that'll give us our 14. So first step will be keep the 7x, and we'll just combine our like terms of 24 and 10. 24 minus 10 ends up being 14. Now we have 7x equals 14. We're multiplying the 7 times the x, so we need to do the opposite, which is divide. Whatever we do to the left-hand side, we must do to the right-hand side. 7 divided by 7 is 1. That cancels. X ends up equaling 14 divided by 7 is 2. Therefore, each pencil costs $2. That's our sentence. Remember that when we're writing in an equation, we do not include dollar signs because dollar signs can be interpreted as another variable, and we just want to use the variable x, no additional variables. There's number 2. Let's look at number 3. Amani spent half of her weekly allowance playing mini golf. To earn more money, her parents let her wash the car for $4. What is her weekly allowance if she ended up with $12? Okay, so first step, we need a let statement. Let x equal, and what are we finding out? We need to find out her weekly allowance. And I took that right from the end of the question. Usually our let statement comes right from the last question that is asked in the word problem. So her weekly allowance is going to equal x. So that's what we're going to start with as we go to write her equation. Okay? We know that she spent half of her money playing golf. So we could divide whatever her weekly allowance is, divide that by 2. That's what she spent on mini golf. Then after she did that, it says that her parents let her wash the car and she earned an additional $4. So whatever she had left, we add $4 to, and we know that she ended up with $12. So our equation reads x over 2 plus 4 equals 12. Okay? So now we need to isolate the x. When we have something happening with an x, and then plus or minus another factor, another term here, we want to deal with the factor or the term away from the x first. We'll deal with this too in a minute, but the first step is to deal with whatever is off of the x. So, if we're adding 4 on this side, the opposite of adding is subtracting, and whatever we do to the left side, we must do to the right. Therefore, we subtracted 4 on this side, subtract 4 on the other side. Those cancel. 4 minus 4 equals 0, so that cancels out. We're left with x over 2 equals, now we need to do 12 minus 4, which we know equals 8. Now, we have x over 2 equals 8. We have to look at what is happening in this right now. X line 2. We know that that line means division, so x is being divided by 2. If we want to do the opposite to cancel it, we need to do the opposite of division, which is multiplication. So we'll multiply this side by 2, and whatever we do to this side, we must do to this side. Therefore, we need to multiply by 2. You notice I did not use an x for multiplication. Please use the dot or the parentheses to denote that you're doing multiplication, because if you use the x, it gets confusing because we already have an x in there as our variable. So on the left-hand side, 2 times 2 here will cancel. We're left with x. 8 times 2 is 16. Her weekly allowance is $16. And we're going to write that as a sentence. Her weekly allowance is $16. We can use a dollar sign in our sentence, just not in our algebra. Number 4. The cooking club made some pies to sell on Pi Day to raise money for the new Common Core math modules. The cafeteria contributed 4 pies to the sale. Each pie was then cut into 5 pieces and sold. There were a total of 60 pieces to sell. How many pies did the club make? Our let statement will be let x equal the number of pies the cooking club made? It's a long one. So X is the number of pies the cooking club made. This question's a little confusing because they talk about pies and they're also talking about pieces. So we're going to start with our X. And we know that cooking club, X represents the number of pies the cooking club made, plus the 4 pies that the cafeteria made, equals. And then we got to figure out how many pies were total. That we know there were 60 pieces total, and we know that each pie had 5 pieces. Okay? So our equation reads x plus 4 equals 60 over 5. 60 over 5 will tell us how many total pies there were. So our first step is to do that division. We'll bring down the x plus 4, and we'll divide 60 by 5. 60 divided by 5 equals 12. We end up with x plus 4 equals 12. If we look at what is happening over here, we're adding 4. We need to do the opposite. Subtract 4. Whatever we do to the left, we must do to the right. X ends up equaling 8. The number of pies Cooking Club made was 8 pies. Cooking Club made 8 pies. Period. Cooking Club made 8 pies. Number 5. The sum of 3 consecutive numbers is 72. What is the smallest of these numbers? You're going to need to remember that when you encounter this problem, okay, and it says 3 consecutive numbers, doesn't say odd, doesn't say even. The 3 numbers are going to be x, x plus 1, x plus 2. We need our let statement. Let x equal the smallest number. So we have our let statement. So then we take our x, x plus 1, x plus 2, and we're going to add them all together. So we have x, we're adding x plus 1, adding x plus 2, and we know adding all that together, the sum in the problem tells us 72. So it equals 72. We're going to combine. We have 1, 2, 3 x's. And we're going to combine our numbers. Plus 1, plus 2, ends up plus 3, equals 72. First step, we're going to end up dealing with the term that is away from the x. We'll worry about the 3x in a second, but we're going to get rid of this. Here we're adding 3, so to get rid of that, we're going to subtract 3. End up, bring down our 3x. 3x equals 72 minus 3, 69. In order to get rid of the 3x, okay, so we're multiplying 3 times x, we need to do the opposite. The opposite of multiplication is division. We're going to divide by 3 so that they cancel. Whatever we do to the left, we must do to the right. 69 divided by 3. 69 divided by 3 is x equals 23. Therefore, the smallest number is 23. The smallest number is 23. We could do a quick little check too over here. Your paper, you have a little bit more space, but I'll do it down here. So if we add the 3 consecutive numbers, our first number would be 23. We'd add 24, add 25. That should be a plus. Yeah, that doesn't look like a plus. Fix that. Plus 25. So if we add that up, 3 and 4 is 7. 7 plus 5 is 12. Carry the 1, 2, 4, 6 plus 1 is 7. We look back to, yep, it says the sum of 3 consecutive numbers is 72. We figured it out by adding all 3 of those numbers up and got 72. We know we are correct. So this goes with the problem above. All right. Number 6. Now this one says the sum of 3 consecutive even numbers is 48. What is the smallest of these numbers? Our let statement is actually going to be the exact same. Let x equal the smallest number. Okay? Now, when it says consecutive even numbers or consecutive odd numbers, we always have x plus 2, x plus 4. Those will give us our 3 consecutive odd numbers or 3 consecutive even numbers. Doesn't matter. When we find the x, it'll either be odd or even, and we can go from there. So we're going to add those 3 terms together. X plus 2, x plus 4. So we write it x plus 2 plus x plus 4. If we add all of those together, we'll end up with, from our problem, 48. We combine, we have 1, 2, 3 x's plus we have 2 plus 4 equals 6 equals 48. There's our equation. Okay. Again, we're not going to deal with what's attached to the x first. We're going to deal with the term that's off of the x. We got plus 6 here. We need to do the opposite. So we're going to subtract 6. Subtract 6. Draw our line. Those cancel. You end up with 3x equals 48 minus 6 equals 42. We end up with 3x equals 42. Right? Now we look at here, we see that 3 is being multiplied by x. When they're next to each other, it means they're being multiplied. We need to do the opposite. The opposite of multiplication is division. Divide by 3 on both sides. We end up with, move this up, we end up with x equals 42 divided by 3. If you do the division, it ends up being 14. Okay? The smallest number is 14. That's our answer. There's our sentence. If we did that quick check again, we'd end up with, I want to know 3 consecutive even numbers. So 14, not 15, because 15 is odd. The next consecutive even number is 16, and the third one is 18. If we add those up, 4 and 6 is 10. 10 plus 8 is 18. Carry the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 48. We look back up here. Oh, yep. The sum of 3 consecutive even numbers is 48. That's what we got on our check. We know we are correct. Now, number 7 and 8, the directions say you can solve the following problems with either arithmetic, that means not using any variables, no letters, or algebra, which includes using a variable. Number 7 says, you can buy 4 apples at Stop and Shop for 96 cents. You can buy 6 of the same apples at Pathmark for $1.50. Which store has the better buy? What the question is asking is, which store is it cheaper to buy 1 apple? So we need to find unit price of 1 apple at both of these stores. The problem is Stop Shop sells 4 apples at a time for 96 cents, and Pathmark sells 6 apples for $1.50. So we need to find unit price of each. So we'll take our pen. We're going to split our page kind of in half. So on this side, we're going to do Stop and Shop. I'm going to call S&S, and this side is going to be Pathmark. Okay, so Stop and Shop first. We have our total is 96 cents, and we're going to divide that by how many apples? Well, you can buy 4. Actually, let's move that down so we have enough space. So we're going to do 96 divided by 4. 4 goes into 9 twice. 8, 1, 6. 4 goes into 6 4 times. We have 2 decimal places. Therefore, 1 apple is 24 cents. Cent sign. So 24 cents, 1 apple at Stop and Shop. Pathmark has $1.50, but that's for 6 apples. 6, we've got our decimal point. 6 goes into 15 twice. That's 12. 3. Bring down the 0. 6 goes into 30 5 times. Pathmark sells apples for 25 cents a piece. So which store are the apples cheaper? We see that at Stop and Shop we got 24 cents, 25 cents. The cheaper price is 24 cents. Stop and Shop. Our answer would be Stop and Shop has cheaper apples. And there's our sentence. So that one we used arithmetic because we used no variables. There's no x's in here, just straight numbers. All right. Number 8. Let's move this up. Number 8 says, Ashley and a friend have lunch at a cafe and the cost of the meals is $35. So total $35. The tax rate of 8.5% is then added. They would like to leave an 18% tip on the cost of the meals before tax. Each girl pays half of the total expenses. How much is the total that Ashley pays, including her meal, her tax, and her tip? Wow, there's a lot in this question. So first we need to start with our $35, okay? Before we add our tax, we're going to do the second step because it says before tax. So the first thing we're going to do is figure out what an 18% tip is on $35. So we have our $35, and we're going to convert that percentage to a decimal, and we're going to multiply. 18 converted to a decimal is 0.18. We have a simple multiplication problem. 8 times 0, 0. 8 times 0, 0. 8 times 5 is 40. Carry the 4. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 4 is 28. Now for our second number, we start with the 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 3 is 3. Add those together. 0, 0, 0. 8 plus 5. So we're going to add these. 8 plus 5. 13, carry the 1. 63. So we look up here. We see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. We see that down here we need to move our decimal 4 places. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. Our decimal ends up being 6.30. So an 18% tip on $35, we're going to need to add $6.30. That's the tip that they're going to leave. Okay? Now we need to figure out how much tax. So once again, we're going to start with our whole bill. The food costs $35, but this time we're going to multiply by 8.5%. That's the tax rate. 8.5 as a decimal is written as 0.085. See how I line that up? These are being multiplied. 5 times 0, 0. 5 times 0, 0. 5 times 5 is 25. Oop, that should be a 5. Let me erase that. 25. The 5 should go here. The 2 carries. 5 times 3 is 15. 16, 17. 17500. We have our placeholder for our second digit. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 5 is 40. 0, and then this is not a 2 anymore. This is now a 4. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 4 is 28. Add those together. 0, 0, 5, 7, 9, 2. So it should read 297500. This one now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal places. So we need to have our decimals here. We need to move it 5 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The amount of tax that's going to be added to this bill is $2.98. $2.98. So we had $2.98 as our tax and $6.30 as our tip. So let's add that all up together. Okay. So we have now our $35 total is the bill. We're going to add our tax, which is $2.98, and we're going to add our tip, which is $6.30. Okay. I don't need that addition sign there. So 080 is an 8. 9 and 3 is 2. Carry the 1. Got our decimal place. 1 and 5 is 6. 6 and 2 is 8. 8 and 6 is 14. Carry the 1. 41. So total, what both girls are going to pay combined is $44.28. Okay. So now we take $44.28, and since there are 2 girls, we just have to find what is the total that Ashley pays. This is the total that both girls play. So to find just Ashley, all we need to do is divide this by 2. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 8 4 times. And there's our total. Ashley needs to pay $22.14. So we'll write that as our sentence, and we are done. Ashley pays $22.14. $. There's our sentence. Done.